Welcome to the Grounded Guidance podcast, where we explore the transformative potential of living in alignment with our intuition. I'm your host, Karen Williams. Each day we receive countless intuitive messages that guide us on our journey toward a more fulfilling life. Are you listening? Through personal experiences, ongoing self-reflection, and captivating stories, we will explore the wisdom of individuals who have embraced the magic of following their intuition and fearlessly sharing their light with the world. These conversations are designed to meet you exactly where you are, serving as a gentle push from the universe to join us on this enlightening journey. Okay, welcome everybody to the Grounded Guidance podcast. Tonight we're doing a new segment called Curious Conversations, and this one is Curious Conversations with Crystals. I know this is an area that a lot of you are excited about and passionate about, as are we. I'd love to welcome my dear friends and family members to the podcast, Carol, Kayla, and Kim. And we are just going to dive right in. What I'd love to know is, first, what was your foray into the magical world of crystals? And I'll start to get us going here. So when I was a kid, I loved looking for agates on the beach, and it felt like a lot of like treasure hunting, which also felt kind of like I was searching for gold. And it felt like really magical and exciting to find these beautiful rocks that just like were really comforting to me. And then as I've gotten older, it was about 10 years ago when it was like my foray into this whole magical world of crystals that has just really kind of broken me open in a great way. So, what about you guys?
Who wants to go first?
Carol.
So my daughter used to study gemstones in school. So
It's okay if you say that I'm your daughter.
All right. So that was my first foray into stones themselves. And she like memorized them all, or she didn't have to because they were just second nature to her, that she just knew what those stones were. And then it took many years, and we have a little gem store in one of our local communities that I had never really ever been to. And one day walking by, and it's like, oh, some kind of fun stuff in the window. Little things made of jade and little things made of crystals. And I thought, okay, well, let's go in. Well, little did I know, I walked through the door and I instantly got nauseous and had this roaring headache. But I, continued to peruse, and the people were so helpful, and they were, telling about the stones and all of that. But I chose a few that I just liked, that were really pretty for me. And then I had to kind of get out of that store. And then once I started studying and learning about them, it's like, whoa, okay, now I know why, because the energy that they put off sometimes was colliding with me. And I needed some balance instead of just a flood of all of those gemstones. But since then, they have just become some of my best friends. My passion to learn more, and it's almost like they breathe and talk to me.
Wow. Oh, I love that.
I had no idea.
I had no idea. They're such great companions for all different journeys in our life. And I think that's what I've really loved about them too. Depending on what you need it for, there's always a gemstone for it.
Kim, why don't you go next?
So when I was a little girl, me and my sister would collect crystals, but I didn't really realize like all the healing properties that came with them. We just thought they're really pretty. So whenever we would go on vacation or travel or anything, we would always go to like crystal shops. And then as I grew up, I kind of like put my crystal collection away. We still have the ones from when we were kids, but then actually Kayla gave me like a starter kit. I think it was for Christmas or something. And that was actually what kind of like restarted my passion for crystals again. And now they're all over my house. So
That's so fun.
I love that.
yeah, it's cool that you connected me back to something from my childhood.
Yeah, well, I think that's actually interesting because I mean, like most kids love rocks growing up, right? Like I just would love to pick up the rocks in the gravel that spoke to me for some reason. Some of them were just gross gray rocks, but I remember like cleaning my bedroom as a child one year, and in my closet was just like bags, like Ziploc bags of just like gravel, right? I'm like, why did I keep all of these bags of gravel? So silly. But those were the rocks that spoke to me at the time. And then, yeah, like Carol mentioned, when I was in school, we had a program called Science Olympiad where like I don't know, it was so silly, but rocks and minerals was one of the subjects of the Science Olympiad. And I was in that Science Olympiad group for rocks and minerals, and I just loved it. And I was really good at it because I just, yeah, knew what the rocks were for some reason. I had a natural instinct to memorize those sorts of things for some reason. And then I didn't think about it again really until right before I was getting married, I think, and I was going through a lot of anxiety. And I think, Carol, maybe you and I went into that gem store together, perhaps. And yeah, I had a very similar experience at that gem store. It makes me feel pretty nauseous when I go in.
Wow.
I love it in there because there's so many fun rocks to look at. But yeah, I can only be in there for a little while before I just do not feel good and have to go. But that's when I discovered at that store the rocks that draw me in the most. And I think that's so interesting. And then yeah, you learn about their healing properties and their metaphysical properties, and it all kind of makes sense. And you don't even realize that the rocks you pick you pick for a reason, and they make sense when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's a good segue into the next like conversation, which would be how do you know? Like if somebody's listening to this that has never used or thought about crystals but might be curious about them, how do you find what works for you? I think it's really easy to, there's hundreds of books and properties written about all of these different crystals. But you sound like you used really kind of like your body as a guide.
Yeah. For me, it's intuition based. The rocks almost, you are drawn directly to the ones that feel best to you. And as soon as you get close to the ones that you don't like, that they don't make you feel great for some reason if you're just paying attention to your intuition. And I think what's important is that it's all about the intention too. So if you're really drawn to a rock and you think that, it brings something out of you, like I feel like smoky quartz grounds me really, really well, makes me less anxious, makes me feel really good. And maybe that's not an actual physical property of smoky quartz. It is, but maybe it's not. But if that's what it causes for you, then that's what that rock is. It's sort of, I don't know, the rock and gemstone guides are all kind of like astrology to me. Like sometimes it fits everything, right? Any of them fit anything. But I think they can do that because it is all about intention. So yes, for that one person who wrote that book, that jasper actually made them feel that certain way, whereas it makes some other people feel a completely different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think intention is a big part of it. How do you weave what you're looking to, what you need out of the crystal into the intention of the crystal, right? I've known a lot of people that will pick up crystals and are looking for something like external out of it. Well, it says it's supposed to do this and it's not doing that, right? And it's very much, in my opinion, the wrong way to look at how to work with these tools, right? There's an input and an output for how they work, but it's not necessarily somebody else's experience, or that they're going to leave you really euphoric, or that you're going to have the best night's sleep of your life. It's really the intention you put into it. I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah. I feel like I live in California, and there's a lot of crystal shops around here. And whenever I go into a shop, I feel like I use my intuition, like whatever I'm drawn to. But also then when I read, like you're saying, what it's supposed to do for you, it always correlates to like what I need at the time.
It almost provides a validation, right?
Yeah. Like, oh, I was drawn to it, but also like now it makes sense why I was drawn to it.
Mm-hmm. So what are your top 3 go-to crystals for any reason? Like what do you use every day? What are you drawn to? How do you use them?
Okay, I'll start.
Okay.
So I wear a lot of crystals
Mhm.
because they give different energy levels and different, energy. So my top 3 would be a labradorite,
Mm.
which is kind of a grayish, purplish, depending on where you get it, what part of the world. And I wear that a lot. My second one that I wear a lot is called a preonite, which is kind of a green stone. And I also wear tourmaline, and typically watermelon tourmaline, because it's prettier than just black. But I think the variations in the color stone have different properties of energy for me. So a tourmaline feels really good to me. Feels real good.
Oh, that's nice. Do you wear which one do you wear for protection?
I wear labradorite for protection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you wear that also to increase your psychic?
I do.
Okay.
Especially, I'm in work, and it offers a buffer of protection as well when I'm in big crowds. I need to decipher through some of that protection of my own, sphere and my own space. I wear big parts. I wear little parts. Labradorite's my favorite, probably.
That's fascinating. Do you wear it primarily as jewelry, or do you hold stones as well?
I hold stones as well, not necessarily labradorite. I wear more jewelry for labradorite. Tiger iron, which is a mix of tiger eye and a hematite iron, is another one of mine. I have a worry stone of tiger iron that I usually will carry in a pocket. And again, especially around big crowds, it's very protective of me, and absorbs then a lot of my maybe negative energy or the energy that I'm feeling in there. It's not unusual for me not to be able to carry a tiger iron for more than just maybe a month even, and then it cracks open and breaks.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So I always, it feels, it's doing me some energy protection, but it's also absorbing my energy, I know. So, we can talk about what you do when one breaks, but they do. Lots of stones, when they absorb energy, will ultimately fracture, crack, or break.
That's amazing. I'm curious how you figured out tiger iron was helpful in that way for you, like in absorbing your energies, because I think that's an important part of this. We work a lot on how to protect, how to refract, how to do all these things from all these external energies. But like very rarely do we address like the thoughts and feelings and emotions that we're having are a lot of how we're perceiving the world and how we're showing up in the world, right? So how did you find tiger iron to be that stone for you?
So, I mean, everyone knows what a little worry stone is, can be any shape or size. Sometimes they have a little thumbprint in them. They're purposefully made to rub your thumb on for something to do if you're nervous or, worried as such. I found one once at a gem show, and the tiger eye is a real fun stone for me. I have lots of tiger eye also, not in jewelry as much as in stone. And so I started carrying, it feels good to me. I mean, just like Kayla said, and you did too, it's like sometimes it's the intuition that draws you to that stone, but it feels very calming to me. So when I feel like my internal energy, especially in big crowds, when I need to feel calmer, not showing emotion maybe because you're on stage or doing something, just to have something in a pocket or something to rub with your hands absorbs that energy through your hands. Your hands have lots and lots of energy. I feel a lot of stone energy just by passing your hands over those stones. But tiger iron absorbs more of my energy, negative energy, into it than I've found other stones that I've tried.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about tiger eye, but now I'm like reading through my little, book.
I'm super curious about it too.
Yeah, it's interesting. It says that physically it supports hormonal balance and enhances vitality. Emotionally, it facilitates finding emotional harmony with others. And then spiritually, it instills balance, stamina, creativity, and clarity.
And is that tiger eye or tiger iron?
That's tiger eye. And then tiger iron emotionally increases self-confidence and helps overcome self-sabotage, enhances personal power, focus, mental clarity, and groundedness. And supports.
Also very pretty. If you ever seen a tiger eye, it shines and glistens in different blue shades. There's gold shades, and I'm drawn to the gold more than the blue. And then it's got this weave of this dark iron ore through it, like hematite, So the combination of the two, that it's amazing that a stone can actually be like that, with the combination of the two of them mixed together. It's a great stone. It's a crystal. It's a crystal. I should call it crystal, not stones, but they are.
They're all rocks. It doesn't matter.
Tiger's eye is at the top of my list, actually.
Oh, is it
really? Ooh, tell us yours, Kim. I'm curious.
That was just like the first stone I was drawn to, I think. I don't know. It was the colors, but it almost like kind of looks like an eye, the way it glistens. But yeah, I've always been, that was the first stone that really got me back into crystals. I also like black onyx. That one I want in my wedding ring someday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Instead of a diamond or in addition to a diamond?
No, instead.
Oh, okay.
Like a gold band with black onyx. I don't know. It just makes me feel really safe whenever I have it. Yeah. That one makes me, I have a big black onyx.
Oh, I love that.
This guy.
What about you, Kayla?
Yeah, I mean, smoky quartz is the number one, top of my list. Does everything for me that I think I need. And then there's other ones that I'm drawn to, but for the most part, I mean, it's the only one that I really wear. If I'm wearing a stone, that's the one I'm shooting for. Yeah. And I don't wear stones as much as I probably could or should, but I think we to show my head who's in charge here. I try to show my. I don't know why.
Well, instead of it being for the crystal properties, it could just be for the beauty of it too, right?
That's true.
Yeah, because I kind of cross both ways. I mean, I like the novelty of it, but I also like how beautiful some of the jewelry is.
Yeah.
What are your three, Karen?
My three they've shifted over the years.
Mhm.
It kind of depends on what I'm doing. Like if I'm meditating, I love a kunzite or a danbarite. That's my go-to for meditating. It's connection to the higher realms. I feel very protected with that stone. My big go-to for protection in the astral realm, though, is smoky quartz. I actually sleep with smoky quartz, and I feel like really protected with. It's just like a full stop for me.
Like under your pillow?
I sleep with it in my hand. Actually, I have
cool.
I have a big solid or a big, raw.
You sleep
chunk.
with that in your hand.
I hold it all night long. I do not let it go. It's the weirdest thing.
Wow.
It it's amazing, but I feel a lot safer at night when I dream. Do a lot of protection before I go to sleep, but that allows me to have a safe space to travel. Sometimes it can get really crazy in the astral realm. So that's that is a go-to. I really love lepidolite. That's a really great stone under a pillow for a child or anybody that's having really hard dreams. It just really calms things down. There's lithium, actual lithium in the stone that helps create calming. That's what they give people for anxiety sometimes is lithium. So that's a good one. I really love amethyst under the pillow as well. And just an overall amethyst. I will carry in crowds ametrine, which is I really love. I know I'm going more than 3. The list is so long. Okay, I'll stop there. Yeah, that's the big one. Like Kayla is smoky quartz. I think just having a very, very strict and strong protection policy, that is the one that's my go-to. Now, wearing jewelry though, it's a little different. I do more for the novelty of jewelry. I do wear bracelets, the divine feminine, but when you're bringing in energy and then releasing energy, I really like to wear bracelets, bead bracelets. Yeah.
I have to say, I think it's interesting with stones how, we really are drawn to them because I know for me, like my favorite stones are not ones that I would ever imagine liking.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like the color green, but I love moss agate and it's like weird and gross looking kind of, but I love it. It's one of my favorite stones.
Feels really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And smoky quartz is the same way. Like it's a brown, like kind of
it's not very pretty.
Cloudy, gross looking stone, but it's my favorite. I'm drawn to it. I love it. And I actually don't like the stones that I would think that I would like based on like my favorite colors and things like that. Like I don't really like amethyst. Not drawn to it. I don't know why. So I love the color purple. Interesting.
Oh, interesting. So you go based entirely on the way it feels or what you're drawn to. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. How do the stones find you? Do you use your hands? Do you use your intuition? Do you what's your method?
I don't think a lot about it. I just if I go into a rock store, I just walk around and look at things and I really like that. And if I like it, then that's the stone I'm gonna buy. Like the moss agate. I was in like a drugstore one day and there were worry stones on the counter. And I all of a sudden was just like, I need that stone. That's really cool.
Oh.
I love that.
Cool.
It was checking out. I was like, put this on the tab. This looks great.
Do you have to touch something before you purchase it?
Yeah, I like to, because sometimes you might be drawn to the look of it, but if you touch it, it makes you feel weird.
Hmm.
I
Mhm.
sometimes textures. Some of them have weird textures that I
Mhm.
don't like, and some have really great textures, like calcite.
Mm.
Calcite, I think it has the greatest texture,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
Oh,
there
it
was
feels kind of soapy, doesn't it?
yeah,
It
yes,
it's
feels
so
yes,
kind
it
of.
feels like a soapstone. Like it's really soft. It's like buttery. It's like got a
Mhm.
buttery texture. It just feels so good.
Mm.
It almost feels fake to me, calcite.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you're like, wow, are you touching glass? I mean, it just really feels,
Mhm.
but it's so much better than glass.
Orange calcite's my go-to for stomach aches. I just had to say that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
Thought of it.
ooh,
love that citrine. I like orange calcite also. I got this honey calcite. It's the coolest thing ever.
pretty.
Looks
that's
orange
nice.
here, but it's not.
Do you just like put it on your stomach when you have a stomach ache?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a pretty big chunk. Yeah. Just kind of hold it.
Cool.
Carol, is this tiger iron?
Mm.
You probably can't see that.
It could be.
You
Tiger
have it.
iron typically is made of tiger's eye, hematite, and jasper.
Oh, I don't think that's. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful.
Wow.
Now this one, I don't know what this is. So, Carol, how do the stones find you?
Well, I usually touch them, and they just vibrate all over, depending on the vibration level. So, I mean, that's one way. Um, I know sometimes it's color or not, depending on the mood or what you're going through at the time. I think they seek everyone out, and they seek me out as well. I'll see one, I think, oh, I probably need that. I'll walk off, and it's like before I even understand or know, I'm back at that same stone and just have to take it home because it's just drawing you somehow to that. But I can hold a stone and just within seconds, I know Karen, you can too, just feel the energy, good or bad, because some of that energy just goes straight up your arms and to your chest, and it's like, ooh, kyanite is that way to me. I know, Karen, you love a kyanite, but
I do.
it just sends prickles on for me.
Hmm.
And I think it's maybe I'm not as deep into the crystals as you are. I think sometimes it's a learning and understanding to be able to absorb the energy that they put off, and maybe my awareness isn't high enough yet to be able to handle multivite or kyanite or one of some of those.
I think that I don't think certain stones are for everybody, for sure not. I think that's why it's important to use your intuition to guide you. I have kind of a fun story around that. I went to Sedona recently, I don't know, within the last 6 months. And one of my favorite crystal shops that I've ever been to is down there. And I always go in. And I wasn't feeling very good the day that I went in, but it is just a magical place. Their displays are outstanding, and everything is just so impeccably thought through with how you navigate the store. And I just love it so much. Well, I just really went in with no intention. I wasn't feeling very good. And so I was just like, I'm going to let whatever I need to guide me. And I'm just going to move through the store at a pace of whatever needs to, find me will. And I like wasn't thinking straight. And it's hard. A lot of people will go into a shop looking for crystals thinking, I've heard about this one. I want to go look at this one. And then this is the one I want to buy. And I would recommend going in with not that intention. Let your intuition and your body just move through and see what shows up for you. So I did that because I really wanted to see if I could find something that could absorb how I was feeling, because the energies in Sedona are really, they're really intense. And it was like day 1 or day 2 of getting there. And so there's some acclimation that kind of goes on. So I just moved through and I found this display, and it was actually of smoky quartz. And I picked one up. I don't even remember doing this. And I just started walking around the store with it. And in about 3 minutes, I felt completely better. I wasn't going in with the intention of buying smoky quartz. I just moved to pick up. It was like, all right, I'm going to pick this one up. And I was just kind of thinking about other things. And well, that's the one that I sleep with every night. And it has become just my go-to. Yeah, my go-to stone. It's not pretty. It's not showy or flashy or anything, but it's what I needed. You know? Yeah. So allow yourself to move in a space where the crystals are that really guides you. And sometimes that's not visually. Sometimes they're not super pretty, but yeah. And it's also hard too, like if you're at a crystal show or if you've ever been to Tucson or Denver, the big gem shows, there's a lot of energy at those places. Holy cow. And people are touching a lot of things, and it's hard to find your center in some of those places.
Especially if they're in a tent or in a room. If they're outdoors, it's a little easier for me, but oh my, if it's indoors, like you said, so much rocket crystal energy, but so much people energy too.
People. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Just can't hardly, dizzy, needing air and space. And yeah,
I find it's hard to find good discernment at those places. There's a lot of people, and sometimes when you're at this place, it's hard to discern what you actually need, because there is, the people, the crystals, indoor, outdoor. But you can find some amazing things at those places. I have found some amazing crystals for my collection at some of the big gem shows. So, Kayla, Kim, anything you want to add?
I guess so. I use my intuition, like I said before, but I always find like when I do buy crystals myself that I usually get like 2 or 4 at one time, and they're always like opposite crystals of each other. So like one's like a green, and it's very unintentional the way that I'm drawn to them. Like one would be like a green stone, then one would be like a coral stone. Like the colors are very opposite, but I always feel like I'm like gifted stones when I need them. Like for example, at my dad's funeral, I took a citrine with me, and my cousin was there, and he actually like mines for crystals. And
It's a rock guy.
Yeah, he's a big rock guy. And I showed him my citrine that I had, and he's like, "Oh, that is glass blown amethyst. That's not a real citrine."
That's great.
And he was like, "Actually, I brought this crystal here, and I knew it was meant for somebody, but I didn't know who it was meant for." And he gave me this one.
That's beautiful.
I think it's a clear quartz. But yeah, so now I have this with me like all the time. It's right in my bathroom, right by the sink. But yeah, they always like find me, or like people give them to me when I need them unintentionally. So
that was a pretty funny moment. You were like really devastated.
Well,
like,
and now I'm like,
citrine.
It wasn't a real citrine. And they even like sent me like a certification.
A certificate of authenticity, right?
Yeah. But now I just got a real citrine the other day, actually. And it looks nothing like the other one was like, this is from Brazil, actually. But I was really, really drawn to this crystal.
I think you have to be really careful about who you buy from and who they source from. And there's a lot of, a lot of shady people doing this work, because, crystals are fun and they're the in thing. But I kind of look at it twofold. I have some that are just for my collection that I just really love. And then I like, a lot of those have really wonderful metaphysical properties, but I don't use them for that. I just like the way they look. So I use them, multiple ways.
Yeah.
What about you, Kayla?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't remember the question.
Oh, how do you choose and select? I guess we've kind of answered it. How do you choose and
Yeah,
select
intuition.
crystals?
It's just it's all intuition for me, gut based, whatever feels
Mhm.
good, whatever I'm drawn to.
Mm-hmm. So, Carol, you kind of touched on this when we were talking. You were talking about how your tiger iron breaks usually after a month of wearing it. Tell us why you think that happens, and what do you do? What do you do? What do you do with your crystal when it breaks?
Yeah. So I mean, tiger iron is that mix of the tiger eye plus that hardcore iron, and it comes in kind of layers. I don't know if you can see these layers.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the energy absorbs between the layers, and the layers just crack or fracture. And once you get a crack in the layers, sometimes they'll chip off or it'll just break. I always, I always think it's a good thing, and it's almost like thanking the gem, the crystal for helping me through those encounters that I've had to deal with, and giving it back. So I will put it in a planter. I'll share a shard or a breakage of it with a friend if they're needing something and it's not too sharp. But usually when or a bracelet breaks or something, I'll usually give those stones back to the earth and plant them somewhere, or leave them somewhere on the way. I always think somebody will come along at some point and find it, even if it's a piece of it or a little round section of it, and be so excited that they have also found a treasure. But yeah, it's like it did its part. It absorbed as much as it could from me, so it can be replanted, given back to the earth to help somebody else.
I love that. The stone that does that to me is malachite.
Oh yes,
I continually break and shatter malachite. Doesn't matter if it's in jewelry or stones that I'll carry in my pocket. It will break. Clean breaks usually after a little while of wearing it. Now, I always haven't had the most positive outlook on why what's happening when they break. Yeah, but I but I don't. I mean, if we really try to look at it in a positive way, I really I move on from that crystal. Like, I don't use malachite anymore. That's how I look at it. It's as if it did what it needed to for my energetic vibration in that time and moment. And not that I'll never need it again, but it's it's perplexing to me when they break. And so I often think, all right, it's not for me at this time and moment. I'm going to move on to something different.
I think that's real true, though. I mean, my worry stone that was made out of tiger iron, I don't carry a worry stone of that anymore. I do have, I have some little, orbs or something of it, but I don't, it's not my go-to to carry on my person. Just, I think you're right. I've moved, you do move through different kinds of stones based upon how they deal with you. I did carry two though, and they both broke after just a certain amount of time.
Wow.
I mean, so I figured that wasn't something I should be carrying, right? Because I was devastated at first. I mean, it was my favorite. It was like I carried it, especially when I traveled, everywhere I traveled, in a pocket, everywhere. And so the first time it broke, I truly was devastated. It's like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Because it was like a sacred part of me. But
right.
So I don't carry one of those anymore, but I carry other things.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so you don't carry malachite either.
No, I really like malachite. I just don't carry it anymore because I think I've broken 3 pieces, and it happens fast for me, like within maybe 3 to 5 days of wearing it. So I said, well, it's just not it's not one for me to be carrying anymore. So
it served its purpose.
Yeah, that's kind of how I that's how I look at it. Yeah. So Nothing bad about malachite. I really love the stone. I love the properties of the stone. I just it was time to move on. So let's talk about what is the best way to cleanse your crystals. This is one of my favorite questions. What do you do and why do you do it?
I give mine.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Nope,
No,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Well, I'll start by saying I'm not good at cleaning my stones, and that might be part of my problem.
Oh,
That might be why I don't like to carry them so much, because I don't clean them
cleanse them.
too often. I got my stone bucket out for this conversation. I keep all my stones in a bucket in the top of my closet because it makes me feel nauseous to have them out in the open.
Wow.
So I keep them contained in
Wow.
plastic. That seems to help. But now they all feel dirty. So I don't know, like, should I wash them? Like, physically wash them with soap and water? Because they're gross.
Yes, you can wash them with soap and water as long as they don't end in ite, kyanite, selenite, malachite.
Lepidolite. Lots of them end in ite.
Yeah. Okay. So I may be stepping out there, and that I might be saying too many ites. But I do know if they are like silica based, you don't want to put them under running water.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, like if you anything that has a mica in it, like kyanite, you do not want to put that. It'll just disintegrate.
Lots of them are polished. I have lots of polished ones too.
No, you can definitely look it up if you're thinking about using water. Yeah. Okay. And you don't have to put any soap on it. You can use your intention. I like, if I'm doing it underwater, I'll put a few in my hand, run it under cold or, running water, and just set an intention about what you want, cleanse this crystal of any, dirt and dust, and watch it wash down the drain. Right. I mean, it's pretty simple to do that. And then I just like to lay them out either on the counter or outside, not necessarily in direct sun, but outside where they can kind of regain their pep.
Well, I guess I know what I'm doing this weekend.
Yeah. And it doesn't take very long. Yeah. But when in doubt, if you're curious about it, don't put it underwater and maybe look it up online.
Okay.
That's one way to do it.
Okay, Kim, now how do you actually cleanse your stones?
Well, I've never washed mine like with water before. I give them little sun baths. And then I always have like a selenite stick next to them to, I guess, cleanse the energy. They absorb it.
Yes, that's one of my favorite ways to do it. I have selenite wands, but I also have like this selenite like disc that you can put them on.
Oh,
that
cool.
you can charge. I'll put them on there and it kind of charges them. Sometimes they get really like dense, and I really like to take a moment. I'll go put them in my grass. Just take them and put them in the grass so that that just kind of.
Oh, that's so cute.
Just got to make sure nobody's mowing the lawn that day and that it's not too sunny for some of my stones. But I feel like it just really nicely recenters the stone.
Yeah.
It's almost beautiful that way, right? Because it kind of like puts them back into their natural habitat.
Yes, exactly.
It sounds so silly.
I really like, the ones that I put under my pillow at night, which I haven't been doing since I've been using the smoky quartz, but they sometimes feel like they get really clogged to me. Like, okay, they've absorbed a lot of my energy. So I feel like to kind of like recalibrate, that's a nice way to do it. Another really nice way, which isn't necessarily cleansing, but charging them, is to put them in the light of the full moon. I like to do that. Putting them on my windowsill as long as the full moon is in some sort of proximity to where you put the stones out. I don't like to put them outside, like if it's cold, because they can crack. But that's another nice way to do it. Mm-hmm.
I have a singing bowl. I think sound can cleanse also. And there's actually apps on your phone that you can find cleansing sounds.
Yes.
Like a tuning fork sound or something like that if you don't have a singing bowl. But that works really well for me. If I don't, I do a lot of the full moon in the windowsill thing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lightning storm. I think they get really recharged up in lightning. But they can't be in your bucket in a closet, Kayla. They would have to be, closer to a window somewhere.
I really try to hide my crystal love for some reason. Just really tamp it down,
I know some people use sage, or a Palo Santo stick, or smoke of some sort. I've never done that as much as the sound or the moon or storm.
Yeah, you don't have to use. A lot of people will use smoke. A lot of people are really sensitive to it too, so that's why it's not totally necessary. You can do it just with your pure intention. But I do find that if it sits on the body too long, or if it's held too long with a lot going on there, it needs to move back to the earth.
Yeah. And I think jewelry for me gets really stagnant really fast.
Yes. Yes.
Just because I think it is so much contact with your skin and your body that I think my bracelets and things I have to cleanse a lot more often than just my bowls.
So what do you do with your jewelry? How do you cleanse it? Do you have a thing? Do you have somewhere you put it at night?
I do. I have a selenite sphere as well. And then I have a specific bowl that has selenite sticks in it that I can lay them over the sticks also. Selenite works really well for me.
It does.
For cleaning, cleansing, especially the jewelry that you don't want to put in water or, some of those other intention ways. I've heard rice works, but I've never tried rice.
Yes, I have used rice. I've used it as well. I like something that will cleanse and charge kind of at the same point. That does a nice cleanse, but then I feel like you need a good charge.
Right.
So I have, I was going to show you, I also have a singing bowl. I like to put my crystal in my singing bowl and then do my little, where it hums,
Right.
To get a really good vibration, because really a crystal is just an energetic vibration, right? That's been slowed way down. But I really like that. That feels really nice to me after the sound does. And then I have my little Tingsha cymbals.
Oh, yes.
I like those.
I like
sound. Sound is a really nice way to cleanse.
I have a little sound bowl. I'm going to try that.
Yeah, it's nice. Or even if sometimes it will vibrate funny. So even if you set it right next to it and do it, the sound reverberates. Yeah, it's really a nice way to cleanse your stones. Thank you for joining us today on the Grounded Guidance podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to our podcast and leaving a review. Your feedback helps us reach more curious minds like yours. Until next time, stay grounded, stay guided, and keep stretching your edges to think differently. Take care, my friends.